of the year to take this waste to landfills, we actually were able to make a little bit of money and sell it to farmers. We started a household hazardous waste site for dangerous chemicals that people might have in their houses. A place that's free, they can drop them off. It might be pesticides or fertilizers or leaded paint or other dangerous chemicals or medical sharps if somebody's a diabetic. And they can take, or it might be the mercury from the LED lights. By the way, I was very happy to see that we're using LED lights in this room. But how do you dispose of those properly? Well, you take them to this place, and our workers will make sure they're disposed of and properly and recycled and reused, the various parts. One thing that I've noticed I'm going to take home about India is that every city I've been to is taking care of its street trees. And it's such an important thing. We put a lot of our city resources into it as well. We make sure that every new street that's built has a strip where trees can grow away from the underground utility so they can thrive. And we try to get this canopy over the street to not only reduce heat, but make the city nicer. And you can see there in the picture in the lower left, too, a sidewalk or pavement or cycle path. We try to get those paths off the street so it's safe for children and families and others to use them. One of the things, we have a type of automobile in the United States. I haven't seen too many of them here, but they are called hybrid vehicles. They have two engines, an electric engine that is powered by a battery and a gasoline engine that's powered by petrol or gasoline. And you do not have to plug in this vehicle. The battery engine, when it runs down, is recharged by braking and by the petrol engine. But they go twice as far with the same amount of petrol or gasoline. They cost a little bit more, but our federal government gave us, in the beginning, gave individuals a tax credit. So you could reduce your taxes slightly to make up for the difference. But then the consumer also saves money with that type of car. And so they were brand new 12 years ago, and a lot of people thought, do they work very well? And I said, we will prove they'll work. So I issued an order where every city vehicle purchased had to be one of these hybrid vehicles. As a result, the citizens, the people in our city saw city workers using them, and started buying them in large numbers. Became somewhat of a status symbol. And I also issued an order that said no idling of city vehicles. We wanted to set the example that contributes tremendously to carbon output and pollution and air quality degradation. We also encourage our developers to use solar panels. It's not the law yet, but the developers always want something. So we say, okay, if you want something, we want you to use solar panels. It's a negotiation of sorts. In northern Indiana, we don't have a lot of wind within the city limits, but just about an hour north between Chicago and Carmel, there have been huge wind farms built that produce a great deal of electricity. And that's to reduce our reliance on coal. In our part of the country, unfortunately, we have high sulfur, very dirty coal, and we're trying to encourage our state government, the mayors are, to reduce reliance on that coal. So what we had in Carmel was a small little village center, and there had not been substantial capital investment in that center for some time, and no one went there, and it was not very nice. And so we wanted it to be something our citizens were proud of, and so the city started to buy land in this area on behalf of the taxpayers, and we took input from, I got lots of input the first time I ran for mayor. I think I knocked on 8,000 doors and asked people what they thought. And that's the best way, I think, to get input. Because if you hold a meeting, only the people that have strong ideas come. If you go door to door, you get everybody's idea. And so we entered into these public-private partnerships where we did a master plan. We encouraged the buildings to be a little taller, a little denser, so that there was enough density that the stores would succeed on the bottom floors. We didn't want to make it a huge parking lot, so we required the builders to put the parking underground in most cases. And the developers and builders would come back to us and say, we can't afford to do that. So we say, okay, we agree with you that you can't do that and make money, so we'll let you use your taxes for 25 years to pay for that underground parking. Sure, baby, thank you so much. I hope you make your flight and have safe travels, and I appreciated your comments. Thank you. So we said to the developers that we'll let you do this, but we want some things in return. We want good architecture. We want good buildings. We want beautiful buildings. We want street trees. We want you to donate to public art in the area and all these various things. And they agreed to do those. Why would the city do that, though? Why would we give up our taxes for 25 years? Well, first of all, we only gave up the property taxes. The income taxes are there as well. And if we allow for the cars to go underground, the building can be 3 to 5 times as big. It can go up a little higher. And so we're actually getting 3 to 5 times the taxes we would have on income taxes. On property taxes, when that loan is paid off, we'll also get 3 to 5 times. But more importantly, it creates the type of downtown, a type we wanted. And here's a picture of a before and after picture. There's 2 buildings, both with underground parking. There's a before and after picture as well on the main corner. We thought it was important to put out public sculpture, to plant trees. You see in the picture in the top. We also did something. We all know about diets. I certainly know about diets, ones that don't appear to work too well for me. But we put our streets on a diet too. We wanted, again, to focus on moving people, not necessarily cars. And so if you look at where those white umbrellas are in the top picture at the left, that's in front of a restaurant. It's a very good restaurant, by the way. If you come to Carmel, I'll take you there. But we took away a parking space on the street, 2 of them, and we put tables out there and a small fence to protect people, beautiful flowers along the road, and now that area is used by people, not cars. We did that. You see at the left, you see another, we call them bump outs, another one on the left, right under the logo for the Art and Design District. So this area became revitalized. People started to use it again. They started to fix up their houses in the area. And today, if you go to this area, it's like a traditional city. Many years ago, people were on the street. We had gotten away from that in the United States. And that's one of the things I'm going to take back about India. Any night around dinner, I can drive through any city I've been in and hear people out on the streets enjoying the company of their neighbors and others, and that's what we had lost. And I hope that other cities don't lose it in their new suburban areas because of bad design and bad planning. There's another picture of our downtown. You see places for bicycles to park as well. The hanging flower baskets are important. We think that community events are important, and so we have free music or movies in our green spaces in these areas almost every night of the area throughout the city. And here's some of our public sculpture, so that when people are out walking on the sidewalk, we first of all, we want to support our artists, and we want to see people on the sidewalks and families enjoying themselves. So we have spent some funds and some money was contributed, and sometimes we negotiate with developers to help. You want to build a building, kick in the money but for the public, for the sculptures. Here's another before picture. You see the big parking lot in front, building that basically was abandoned because it was just an older building that wasn't well built. We replaced it with that, but the city bought the land, allowed the taxes to be used for the underground parking, so we were able to build a 2-story building. That's a design center with everything that somebody might, 85 different businesses within it, might need or want if they're building or remodeling a house or a business. But this was just a little 4 or 5 block area that had been the village center before Carmel started to grow. And we have almost 200 square meter, would that be right, square meters? 50 square miles, that would be translated as, it was a big area, leave it at that. I should be better with my metric system, but 50 square miles is a big area. And so we knew as the population grew, we needed a bigger downtown. And so the city once again went and bought 100 acres. And we hired a private planning firm to design a brand new downtown for us. And again, I want to point out, most suburbs in the United States were not building downtowns. It was just all sprawl. New stores along a road that went out farther and farther out. And then, of course, since there was no grid, the traffic on that road would get very bad. So we went back and built a traditional grid with streets every so often. Small streets to encourage people to walk, but streets nonetheless. And we built it on top of platforms, and we built parking structures so that it was easier to get out and walk as opposed to driving short distances. And by not sprawling out as far, think about it. If I take my children to school in the morning, that might be 7 or 8 miles. Then I go back to my office, another 5 or 6 or 7 miles. Then I do an errand and have to go to a store 5 miles away. But if the schools and I live and the stores are all close together, suddenly that 20 or 30 miles I had in my car is gone. I can walk most places or maybe drive a mile or so. And that means that I don't have to spend taxpayer money building expensive roads. In the United States, it costs $10,000 US to build a 2-lane road for 1 mile to our standards. So it's a huge expense, and then maintaining these roads. So we planned this new downtown, and the picture is from about 15 years ago. I think it was, we had about 100 renditions before it, but then the picture below is actually what's been built today. We've built over 65 buildings in this new downtown, and here's some of them. We tried to make the buildings beautiful and landscape them properly. We looked at small gathering places within the new downtown. We looked a lot to Europe, the way Europe had been built traditionally, because we knew for thousands of years, because we knew that worked. There you see the buildings and the houses being moved up to the front of the street. And here in the picture in the lower bottom, the bottom right, you'll see how people can turn into the side of the building and park underneath it. And again, we allowed them to use their taxes, so that was economically feasible. As the anchor to our new downtown, we built a beautiful concert hall that the city owned. We spent 100% because we think culture and art is important to preserve our heritage and traditions. We spent all taxpayer money to build this building, and it was patterned off the building built in Vicenza, Italy, outside of Venice about 500 years ago during the Italian Renaissance. We hold a market every Saturday with organic farmers coming and selling their both meats and vegetables and breads, anything that's made in Indiana. We don't allow it to be made somewhere else because having local food sources is important. There's a before picture, the left, and an after picture. There's more pictures of our